Hello guys, this is Tayo. Welcome to the part 3 of our Power BI tutorial for beginners. Now in this part, we are going to design this dashboard that we created in part 1 and part 2. Now when it comes to designing a dashboard either in Excel, Tableau, Power BI or any other tools, I like to tell people that a beautiful dashboard or a beautiful design is relative to individuals' opinion. So what I'm saying is the design we are going to create in this lecture might be something you like or not. The design you are going to create in future might be something people like or not. So there is not really a standard to creating a dashboard designs or anything. It just has to be something okay, and some most times you really don't have to be too extravagant about your dashboard. Please don't forget the primary purpose of creating a dashboard, which is to gain insight from your data set. Now, adding a design or finesse to your dashboard is a secondary aspect of things. So when you are creating a dashboard design, what you should keep in mind is what's the purpose of this dashboard. You know, the primary purpose of this dashboard is to get insight. Now, mere looking at this data, even though it's not well organized, we can get some insight from this dashboard. However, we need to add some design to make it more appealing to the site. So that's the purpose of dashboard design. So what I'm basically saying is that dashboard designs are good, but then you don't really have to be too extravagant in order not to, overshadow the primary purpose, which is to get insight. So some people, when they create dashboard, they add too many colors. It makes it, really, really clumsy or something like that. So what we'll do now is we are going to create a simple dashboard design, nothing extravagant or anything. So we are going to start by with the first visualization. So normally, what some people do is they design the dashboard one by one. When I say one by one, they design these, and design the whole canvas as well. But what I want to teach you is a faster way of doing things. So what we're going to do is we design this particular one, then we copy the format and apply it to others. So that makes it faster. Now let's select this. Now when you select this, when a particular visualization is selected, now you have to come to your visualizations pane. Then you see the second option here, which says format your visual. Now when you most times you're always in the build visual. So now you can format your visual. This is the default setting or the default stage when you select your visualization. Now you can come to your format visual to add settings. Now when you click the y-axis again, you can just turn off the y-axis entirely. Now when you turn it off, you notice that everything in the y-axis is gone. So you can turn it back on. So we turn it off the other time, we can turn it back on. Same thing with your x-axis. So if you don't need any of them, you can turn them off or on depending on how you want it. But for this visualization, we are going to leave it on, both on. Now let's come to the y-axis and do some, edits to the visualization. Now we can change the font of the values, which is the name of the continent. So we can change the font to whatever we like, but in this case I'm going to leave it to whatever it is there. Then we can increase the size to um okay, maybe 10, or let's just leave it at 9. Then we can bold it, make it bold. We can make change it to italics or not, but I'll leave it just at bold. Now we can change the color. So we may want to use for this purpose, because I'm still going to change the, okay, let's leave it at black. We may change it later. Let's leave it like this. We may change it later or not. So that's that for the s-axis. Now we may want to off the title personally. So what, I don't like the title on, because normally when you see Europe, Asia and South America, you can easily tell that these are continents. So we don't need a title saying these things are continent. We can, anybody could tell that these are continents. So let's turn the title off. So that goes the title. So now we are going to exit the y-axis, then we go to the x-axis and do the same thing. So what we'll do, you can change the range um of the figures. So but in this case we are not going to do that. So we are going to come to the values and make it bold. I think that's the only thing we are going to do here. Then you can change the decimal places of the values as well. For instance, we have 0.2 billion here. You may want to change the display unit to millions. So you see it has changed to millions, 100 millions, 100 million. So you may want to leave it at that. Then when it was billions or auto, so you may want to increase the decimal. So what we have here is one decimal place. So you may want to increase it to two decimal places. So normally you can type 2. So you see it has changed to 2 decimal places. Alright. Also, just like the y-axis, we're going to turn off the title. So let's turn off the title as well. That's good. Right. Now, personally, I don't like grid lines. Grid lines are, you may not see the grid lines now, but there's these lines that shows underneath the or inside the visualizations. Most times I don't like them, so I turn them off. You may like them, which is okay. Like I said, there is no standard to these things. It's just based on preference. So I like to turn them off. Vertical. So I turn the grid lines off. Then when it the zoom slider, we don't need to do anything there. Now the bars is where you change the color. So if you don't like this blue, you may want to change the color. So let's, in this case, let's go with the navy blue. Okay, maybe too dark. So let's go with a little bit lighter. All right, I think this is okay. Okay, so let's see what else can we do with this dashboard. The data labels. Now the data labels are the figures that will come at the front of the bars. So let's see if it makes it okay. So we may want to add the data labels or not. But one thing I like to tell you is if you add the data labels, then I think it is okay to go ahead and switch off the s-axis entirely, because the purpose of the s-axis is to show the values of the bars, to let you know that okay, this particular one is close to 200 million or about. So when you have the data labels on, then I think it is okay to off the x-axis. So when you have the x-axis on, then I don't think it is okay to have the data label. So don't make your it makes your visualization looks clumsy or too crowded, so to say. Permit me to use that word. All right. So I'm going to leave the data labels off. I won't turn it on. Then um, you may want to add, pictures to the background of this visualization only, not the entire canvas now, just this particular visualization. Then you can go ahead and do that. I'm not in the habit of doing that. So for now, For now, I'm going to leave this as it is. So one thing again we can do in the general is come to the properties. Properties is where you can resize the height, the width. So we are going to leave it the size as it is. So you may want to change the position. Changing the position means you are just shifting the visualization maybe to the left, to the right, upward or downward. So we're going to leave this as it is as well. Advanced option, sorry, I've never been there. All right, let's leave the properties now and come to the titles. Now the titles is what you see here, total cases by continent. So you may want to turn it off or on. So it depends on you, but mostly it's okay to have your title on. Then you may want to change the title. So total cases by continent, we can leave it for now. In my case, I'll leave it. So I want to change it to bold. Then the color, maybe something lighter. Now this is because I'm still going to change the background. So I'm still going to change the background. You may want to put it at the center, at the far right or left. So let's leave it at left. All right, so you may want to add background colors as well, but in this case I will not. So you can just go ahead and play with these things and see how they change your visualization. So the effect is where we have the background. So if you don't want background for your visualization, this is where you turn it off. So you not see the effect now because the background is white as well. All right, so two tips. When we get to two tips, I'll let you know. Two tips is one of the advanced, not really advanced though, but it's one of the nice features in Power BI. It's not just normally when you put your mouse in the data, you see the two tips that tells you the continents and the total cases in that continent. But then there is advanced tooltips, like maybe when we put our mouse on a particular bar, we want the picture or the flag of the country to show something like that. So in this case, we are going to use country. So we may want the flag of, okay, this is China. We may want the flag of China to show. So that's the purpose of tooltips. So we'll get there. So this is pretty much everything we want to do with this particular visualization. Now before we proceed, um, make sure that you are clicking an empty area in the canvas, that is somewhere that there is no visualization. Now you have the canvas selected. Now go back to format your report page. Now notice it's saying format your report page, and unlike when we had a visualization selected, it was saying format your visual. But when you click an empty area in the canvas, it will tell you that format your report page. So what you are formatting now is the entire page. Now when you click the format page, the page information, you may want to rename the page instead of page 1. So you may want to rename the page. Then this is where you use allow use as tooltip. Now this is one of the features I was telling you about. When we get to that place, you will see it. For now, let's leave this. So canvas setting is where you change the size. So the default is 16 by 9. So you can change to custom. When you change to custom, you can adjust the width and the height. All right, so I'm going to leave it at that. So the vertical alignment is saying top. You may want to change it to middle. I like to use that. All right, so the canvas background, so you may want to add picture, or now sometimes I do go to PowerPoint and create a design. I design some background in PowerPoint, then save it as picture, then import, and I insert it to the background as image, then something like that. You may want to do that as well. Or if you just have a random image picture you want to use, you can insert them as the background. Right, so the wallpaper is kind of like the background as well. So now what we want to do is change the background to, let's change to blue. All right. So let's change, or maybe this is too light. So let's change to something darker. Okay, that's what we selected initially. So let's change to something. Okay, I think this is okay. All right. So as well, you can put your image, and when you put the image, you may want to select image fit to, fit in to the dashboard. You may not know this now until you pull in image. All right. So now this is what I wanted us to do in the page background. So instead of doing all the rest, now that we have the background changed to blue, we can now know the effect of turning off the background in visuals. So let's go back to the general. Remember, I have my visualization selected. So let's go ahead and come to the effects, then turn off the background. So this is the effect of turning off the background. All right. Now, before we proceed, let's do another thing and add border to the visual. So I think border is also okay, visual border. So we have the border. So this is what the border does. So when you select, you see this how the border looks like. So it makes sure it separates each. Now you can easily tell the difference between one visual and the other. All right, let's go back to the format and see what else we can do. So we can on the shadow. I like to do this on the shadow. But before we do that, in the visual border, there's something I like us to do. So you may want to change the color of the border to, we may want to use white, but let's use something, yeah, gray. Now I like to use the rounded corners. So the rounded corners is going to be in the older version of Power BI, they call it radius. So let's put it at 10. So let's put it at 10. 10 is my favorite threshold. All right. Now let's see the difference, what it makes. All right. It seems our border color is not really cool. So let's change it to black and increase the radius as well. All right. So I'm going to change this to not the background, the visual border. I'm going to change this back to black. Then maybe this at 20. So let's see how it looks. All right, it's looking pretty cool now. So now let's go ahead and add the shadow effect to see how that works. So the effects, we just come to, you can collapse the background. So put on the shadow, and let's expand it. Yeah, okay. All right, now look at the shadow. This, I don't know if you see the effect. There's a change. It's like the the visualization is now, it looks better basically. So now that we are done with this particular visualization, we don't need to repeat all the action for at least um, similar visualizations. When I say similar visualizations, I mean this one and this one. So now what you need to do is click on this visualization, come to format painter. So when you select it, you notice your mouse has changed to like a paintbrush. So come to any of the visualizations that you want to apply this format to. So in this case, just select the visual and everything will change accordingly. So same thing, you can just go ahead and copy it again. You have to copy every time you want to apply, then apply to this. So when you apply to um, visuals that are not similar to where you copy from, there may be some changes, so you have to, readjust. All right, so let's just copy the paint again and apply to this place, and let's see. You see, it makes this one up, but we can, do some changes to correct it. All right, so let's just apply everything. Let's apply the format to everything. Copy. Let's apply it to this. Copy and apply it to this. All right, so now let's go ahead and format our card as well. So normally let's put this here. Now here's a way, here is one of the tricks. I do not really a trick. Here is one of the best way to make sure your cards or even any visualizations are properly formatted. First, let's make sure that everything is in the same, it's aligned properly. Okay. Now when you select everything, the whole cards, so we want to make sure that the spaces between each card and the other is the same thing. So we cannot do that manually, so there is a way to do that. So when you select everything, so you hold your control and shift and select everything. So you come to the format and you come to align. So you distribute horizontally. So when you distribute horizontally, it will evenly space the four cards, or depending on the number of cards you have, so it will space them. Now let's format each card. So let's go and select the card, come to the visual. Then there's really nothing much to do with the card, but all right. So call out value. So let's reduce the size to maybe 30. All right, 30 is great. So the unit is displayed in auto. So you may want to change this to thousand, millions, billions, trillions. So depending on how best fits. So sometimes you may want to leave it at auto so that Power BI can determine the best unit or the suitable unit. Then you may want to change the decimal to, 1, 2, or 3. You see how it changes accordingly. So let's leave it at 0 then. All right. So the color should be, let's add the color, let's be consistent. So let's use the dark blue that we've been using. Yes. Then let's make it bold. All right. Now this is for the value. So let's collapse this. Then the category labels where we have our total cases. So let's reduce this to 10. Let's reduce this to 10. Let's change the color to, something lighter, just so we are consistent. Then maybe bold, right? Or maybe something darker then. All right. So we can also go ahead and turn off the background. Then we can use a visual border, then put the radius as 20. Yes, and let's turn on the shadow as well. All right, I think that does it. Yes, that does it. So just like we did with the other ones, just make sure you click it, come to format painter, then select it on this. Okay, format painter, select it on this format. So you have to click the format painter every time you want to apply it. All right. All right. Seems our dashboard is coming up nice. So maybe if you think the colors are fine, you can proceed. But from what I can see, you may want to change the color of the um I am not seeing the countries, so we may want to change the color to something lighter. All right, so let me quickly do that. All right, guys, so what I've done is I I changed the color from something darker to something lighter so that we can see the labels clearly. So I think this is this is better compared to what we had. All right, so the next thing to do in this visualization is to arrange this thing properly. So this is not something big, so let me just do that quickly as well in order not to waste our time. All right, guys, so now I have rearranged the visualization. So this is how our dashboard looks like. So one more thing to add is a dashboard title. It's always good to have a dashboard title so that says maybe COVID-19 analysis, COVID-19 report, COVID-19 dashboard overview, or something like that. So what we're going to do is to have a title. There are different ways to do that, but my preferred way of doing it is to add a text box. So when you click text box, just drag your text box to where you want to have just rearrange your text box basically. So let's have a text box here that says COVID-19 diaper. So we're going to type it in COVID-19 um, dashboard. Let's just go with that. Now select everything. Let's increase the size to maybe 28. Okay, that's too big. So let's use 24. Okay, perfect. Then or let's use 20. Let's use 20. Yeah, 20 is okay. So let's use Sigma code. All right. Let's make it center, right, or left, which is okay. Then let's change the color to keep the consistency. So let's use this. All right, so let's see how it looks. All right, so one more thing, what we need to do now is to get rid of the background color. So again, you can just click that, then come to the effect and turn off the background. So that is that. So we have it. You may want to increase the size again to maybe 24, just so it is a little bit bigger. All right, so we have our COVID-19 dashboard. We may want to add um, border as well, visual border, which is okay. Then yeah, so I think this is okay. Good. So the last thing that we need to do is to add let's just add a basic slicer, no big deal, no sophisticated slicer or extravagant slicer. So let's just have a continent as a slicer. So just click slicer. If you don't know what slicer does, slicer is like a filter. So when we add a slicer and we put continent as the slicer variables, it means we can now filter this dashboard based on specific continent. So let's add a slicer. Right. So the variable for our slicer is going to be the continent. Now, normally you have your slicer. The slicer is like okay, let's just change it to drop down. So change your slicer to drop down instead of list. So drop down. Okay. So let's go ahead and edit the slicer settings. So let's just turn off the header. Alright. Turn off the background. Alright. We are going to make it white as well. Perfect. So okay, let's give it a border too. And the radius is 20. Let's be consistent. Alright. Okay, let's change this radius to 20 as well. We didn't do that. Good. Oh, the radius affects the look. Alright, so let's just return it to when we don't have the radius. I'm going to get rid of the radius, or just so I can just reduce the size instead of getting rid of the radius. So I can just reduce the size to 20 then. Right. So okay, let's reduce the size of this as well. These are the things you do to make your dashboard perfect. All right. So what the slicer will do for this dashboard is that when we click the slicer, oh, we need to change the color of the continent so that we can see them clearly. All right. So come to your values, change the color to okay. Let's use this. Yeah. All right. So let's try the color now. So now you can just filter for Africa and your data will change accordingly. So you can filter for Europe and everything will change accordingly. So you see the map is changing as well, but remember you must be connected to the internet to have a proper view. So let's uncheck everything and go back to every country. All right, one more thing to change is the color of this particular visualization. So let's click this and swap the colors. So let's come to the effect. No, it's not the effect. So we see this from okay, I think from the columns. All right. So we are going to make this and make this something lighter. Yes, I think it's cool, or maybe not to some people. but just so we have clear understanding of how this works, so we can leave it this way. All right, guys, so this is going to be the end of the part 3. In part 4 of subsequent parts, we are going to talk about how to improve this dashboard by, maybe adding bookmarks and other things that can make this thing look more, that can make this thing better. We may add more visualization, we may not, so depending on what we do in the next part. So please watch out for the next part, guys. So I'll see you in the next class. Bye bye.